안녕하세요, 여러분. I'm Gawon King Kodi, and today I'm going to be talking about some of my struggles with learning Korean. Okay, so I've been studying Korean on and off for about 3 years now. I originally started learning Korean the first time in 2019, and I studied for about 3 months, but then I got bored and frustrated because I was not progressing at the rate that I wanted to, and I just wasn't getting better. I started plateauing, and it was very annoying, and so I just dropped it. And then I picked it up again in 2020, and I started relearning everything, which took another 3 months. And then I got to the exact same spot and got frustrated because it just wasn't going how I wanted it to, so I dropped it again. And then I finally picked it up for the third time this year in 2022. And I've been learning consistently for about 6, maybe 7 months. I've been learning with a group of friends. The group originally started out with me and 3 other friends, but it has now dropped down to just me and 1 other friend. So, one of the main challenges that I have with studying Korean is the pronunciation of the character Lil. I don't know why it's so hard for me to pronounce it. All I know is that it's really bad. Hearing me trying to pronounce it it's just a big oof. It's not great. And I haven't figured out the pronunciation yet. So, I know that, as I talk in Korean, whenever I come upon the pronunciation of Lil, it's just, I know it's not right, but I feel like I'm getting closer the more that I try, because I listen to other native speakers and their pronunciation, and I'm just trying to copy that and try and get it correct. But it's hard because my mother tongue is English, and the way that you hold your mouth and the way that you position your tongue in your mouth when you're speaking English is very different from the way that you do in Korean. So it's hard to try and relearn how to hold my mouth and the position, relearn different positions to hold my tongue in to talk. It's struggling. It's just me struggling because it feels different from what I'm used to, which makes it so much harder. And one of the additional troubles that I have with pronunciation Lil is pronouncing Lil with the I guess they're the double vowels, the vowels ya, yo, you, and yo. Those vowels I have a hard time pronouncing with Lil. Yeah. I guess an example of a word that I have trouble pronouncing that has Lil in it would be the word for bus stop. I can say bus in Korean. It's just bussa. I got that. I have that down. But it's the second word in bus stop. So it would be bussa jongru jang, and it's the middle bit in between jong and jang. The ru. I have a really hard time pronouncing that. I'm getting better because I've been saying the word over and over and then listening to other native speakers say it. But it's not quite there yet. I haven't gotten it, but I will get it. It's just gonna take me a while, which is not part that I'm ready for. So a second challenge that I have with learning Korean is sentence structure, just learning Korean grammar. It's so hard because Korean grammar is very different from English grammar, specifically the structure of the sentences, because the structure of sentences in English is subject, verb, object. But in Korean it's subject, object, verb, but also because of the different particles that Korean has, you technically don't have to put it in the subject, object, verb order. You could just put it in any order and you could probably just put it in any order and it would make sense because of the particles that they use for words, which it doesn't make sense to me. Like, learning particles in Korean is so hard. Because English doesn't really have topic marking particles and subject marking particles. Like, English has particles, but they're like separate words within themselves. And it's just words whose usage has been changed based off another word. Whereas, like, Korean has, like, separate little particles that are just for marking topics or marking subjects and so on and so forth. And I haven't figured out how to use the particles yet. And the sentence structure is also just very confusing. And it's just, it feels weird when you try and, like, translate a sentence from English, where I'm using the sentence structure of subject, verb, object, to change it into Korean, where the sentence structure is now subject, object, verb, and just reading it back to myself and then translating it back into English, because then it sounds out of order and it sounds wrong. Like, if you just straight translate sentences from Korean into English without flipping them into, like, the English sentence structure, it just sounds weird. Like, you kind of understand what's happening, but it's not quite right. Yeah, so I still haven't figured that out. But I will. It's just... Oy. It's gonna take a while. But I will get it. So that's all for today's video. If you liked it, you should consider subscribing and pressing the teeny tiny little bell icon next to the subscription box, so that way you get notifications whenever I post new videos. And hit the like button as well, because that would be really nice. That'd be really cool. And if you've experienced some of the same things as me, or you have anything else to add, or any, like, tips for how to pronounce Leo at all, just drop them in the comments down below. That would be greatly appreciated. And catch you in the next video. 안녕히 가세요.